My name is Hannah Atkinson. In March of 2020, the World Health Organization declared COVID-19 a pandemic. U.S. Department of Education statistics show that over 85% of schools and universities issued emergency closures in response to this declaration. My primary purpose today is to inform you of how learning environments have changed during COVID-19 and how this information should be taken into consideration for your innovation. The impact of COVID-19 on education has revealed the effectiveness and ineffectiveness of remote learning. When developing an effective innovation aimed to improve learning during COVID-19, it is important to consider exactly how learning has changed and how it is continuing to evolve. The main points I will be discussing over the course of this presentation is the emergency crisis response to the pandemic and the following transitional phases aimed at returning learning environments to normal instruction. Across the United States, the speed and magnitude of school closures was unprecedented. For some, the transition to remote learning seemed to happen overnight. Within 2 weeks of the World Health Organization's declaration, most schools and universities transitioned to fully remote teaching and learning with the hopes of maintaining student, teachers, and staff's health and safety. According to Education Week, over 50.8 million students were affected. This emergency crisis move is known as Phase 1 of the education community's response to COVID-19. However, many learning institutions did not have time to properly plan or consider the challenges presented with remote learning. Shortly into the pandemic, 4 to 6 months, Phase 2 was implemented to address logistical flaws in community outreach. According to the Urban Institute's assessment of student needs during COVID-19, many student challenges were not addressed, including student disability, English language learner status, household vulnerability to economic hardship, crowded home conditions, and access to technology and broadband internet. Other technology issues have been found. For instance, course content that was originally designed for in-person instruction might not have an online equivalent or might not be able to be transferred over virtually in a short period of time. The American Physiology Journal has concluded that course content quality has dropped as synchronous activity has decreased from 75% to 36% with the pandemic. A case study from the University of Melbourne has then showed that increased asynchronous content and the use of remote learning management systems has resulted in an increase in issues with academic integrity and loss of student retention across all levels of education from primary to higher. Remote learning management systems and video software such as Zoom and Google Meets have experienced increased usage from the pandemic. The most popular learning management platforms today are Canvas, Blackboard, Google Classroom, and Schoology. Canvas and Blackboard saw a 60% increase in usage within the first 2 weeks of the pandemic's declaration. While Phase 2 provided support for educators by offering training and other ways to structure virtual content through the use of LMS systems, it also attempted to address student needs by creating programs for food and computer access. However, Phase 2 has left many student needs unaddressed, which has resulted in the need for Phase 3, the transition to hybrid learning. Most learning institutions are currently operating under this phase, involving a partial return to in-person instruction while maintaining the use of remote learning systems while maintaining proper COVID protocols at all times. The American Journal of Qualitative Research has noted that certain home challenges such as economic vulnerability, language barriers, crowding, and access to technology cannot be handled without face-to-face instruction. President Biden has announced that COVID-19 rates have decreased and that there is no longer a need for social distancing or masks so long as you are vaccinated. With restrictions lifted, many schools are considering Phase 4 and Phase 5, but it is important to note that many students are not yet eligible to be vaccinated. Therefore, Phase 4, a return to full in-person instruction while maintaining COVID protocols, and Phase 5, a full return to normalcy and face-to-face instruction, are not yet feasible. It is unclear when the United States will reach the point when they are. In summary, COVID-19 has had a large impact on the evolution of learning environments and will continue to do so in the future. The main points discussed today were the emergency move to remote learning and its challenges, followed by the continued phases aimed at returning education to its normal pre-COVID environment. The purpose of this presentation was to inform you of all learning environment changes during COVID-19 that can be taken into consideration for your innovation. Education has adapted to the world we live in, but it still has a ways to go. I hope you have found this information useful. Please feel free to reach out if you have any questions or need anything additional. Thank you.